everyone, Danny here with a project using my beautiful Turtle Journal Mystery Crafters box that is full of beautiful vintage bits and pieces. The project I'm going to be working on is making a little altered book mini album. So I have this really pretty little notebook that I got from a newsagent's or a post office, I think. I have a couple of them, but this one I decided I wanted to make an altered book project with it. I got it on clearance, so I really just grabbed it because I thought it was pretty, and I thought the cover matched the vintage vibe of the crafter's box from the Turtle Journal really nicely. So what I'm going to do is just take out half of all the pages in this book. So I'm just flipping through, counting out 4 pages, and then I'm ripping out the next 4. So every 4 pages I'm tearing out another 4 pages, and I'm just doing this quite roughly. And the reason for this is I'm going to fill it up with, my own papers and embellishments, and it's going to get fat really quickly. So by doing this, I'm just making some room in the book for all my own bits and pieces. So you can see there that once I've done that, there's quite a lot more space in the book. But before I finish, what I'm going to do is just tidy up the ends here. So you can see those torn pieces are looking kind of manky from the ends there. I do apologize for the out of focus here, but my camera was just struggling with the autofocus a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm just tearing the paper down close to the binding, just at the ends of the book, so the top and the bottom where you're going to see those torn edges. The rest I'm leaving in place. Now the reason I'm not tearing that paper right down to the binding is that it just provides a little extra strength. So if you tear the paper right down to the binding, you will find that the book won't hold together as well. So by leaving that torn edge through the center of the book, it just helps keep it all together nicely and the book won't fall apart. But you really don't have to do this part that I'm doing right now, tidying up the ends. I just think it looks nicer if you're looking from the top of the book. I did go through and do the bottom as well. So there you can see that looks a lot tidier once I've done that. And once I have done that, then I'm going to go through with my glue stick and just glue those pages together. So where I have the 4 pages in a chunk together, I'm going to glue those together so that it creates kind of like a foundation page, almost like a cardstock or a very thick paper, because it is quite thin kind of notebook paper. So I want a nice solid base for each of my little pages. So this is going to end up being a hybrid between a scrapbooking mini album and a junk journal. So once I have done that, I did set it aside to dry for quite a while, and then I am pulling out my Turtle Journal Crafters box. I have done an unboxing on my channel, so if you want to go and see all the bits and pieces that came in this kit, you can go and look over there. Each box is different though, because it is full of obviously genuine vintage ephemera and book pages, things like that. So they're obviously all individual, and it's kind of a mystery of what you're going to get, but that is part of the appeal for me, definitely. So as you can see, there's lots of beautiful bits and pieces in here. I am going to be using this little album as a documenting my friend's wedding that I was part of a few years ago now. And yeah, I just really loved the idea of all the vintage bits and pieces in this box for their wedding, because it was kind of a little bit vintage of vibe. I don't want to say a theme, but there was definitely a vintage vibe to their wedding. So for this first page that I'm doing, I'm just gluing down one of the beautiful vintage sheet music pages to the base page. I think this is going to end up being the title page. Yeah, it is. I pulled out that little doily, but I really wanted a white doily because that one's cream, and obviously the vintage book page is also quite cream. So I found this larger doily that is more of a white color. I'm just snipping that in half, and I'm going to glue it down with my glue stick. I'm just using my glue stick for everything on this little journal because it is easier than using a wet glue or anything like that, or tape. You could see I tore that first doily almost instantly, so now I'm going through with another one and just being careful with my glue. You can also use a gel medium, that would definitely be useful. I just didn't want something that I'd have to wait for it to dry for too long, so I'm just using my glue stick. So there we go, I've trimmed off the excess there, and then I'm going to grab one of these beautiful little tickets. I love these little butterflies and the florals on these, they're so So pretty. But first, I've just pulled out a little scrap. I think this is from my stash, this bit of pink paper. Just wanted a little pop of plain paper there that I could hand letter on. So I'm just going to stick that down there and then layer that tag over the top. And that's just going to be so I can write their names on there. I am just going to hand letter those on with, this is my Pentel Touch. I can't remember the name of the pen, but it's a really nice, fine little nib. I'm just going to see if I can dig out the pen. So the label just says Pentel Touch. So it's a brush pen. This is in black, and I'm just hand lettering their names on there. And I'll just go through and thicken up the downstrokes because I love this pen, but it does have a finer nib, so it is hard to get that kind of thicker downstroke. Now I'm going to add some of these beautiful little people off this washi roll that came in the crafter's box. So I'm just picking out one of the cute little couples and sticking it on there. And then we'll move on to the next page. I'm not going to do all of the pages in this video, but I do quite a few. So for this one, I'm going to make some pockets. So I have just folded that page over to make that first pocket. And now I'm taking one of the vintage magazine papers and just lining it up where I want it. So it's going to be kind of like a layered pocket here. So trimming that down to size, and then I will also fold the corner down. So I'm just taking the corner and folding it down as far as it will go towards the spine of the book. And then I'll turn it over and fold it back the other way. And then I can glue it down, and that will be my pocket. So super, super easy. So I'm just going to glue that flap closed, and then I'll do a line of glue around the bottom and the side and then stick that down. So there you go. Voila. Nice easy pocket. I've used wet glue there just because I know it's going to dry nice and dry. So rather than using any kind of tape that will stay sticky, once that tacky glue dries, it will stay nice and dry and nothing will stick to it. So once I've made that pocket, I'm just going to fold that back flap down, and I'm just going to cut it off. I could have just folded it over and glued it, but I'm just reducing a little bit of bulk by cutting that off. And then I will just making that a little bit smaller, and then I'm just going to glue the whole thing straight to the bottom of that page. And there you go. I have a double layered little diagonal pocket for that page. Super sweet. So I'm just tucking in some of the ephemera bits that came in the box here. I don't know whether they'll stay there, but I just like to fill my pockets up. So I'm using some of the string here that came in the box. Some of the papers were tied up with this lovely white string, so I've kept that, and I'm going to thread that through my little tag here. I love these little botanical tags, they're so pretty. Okay, next page. So now what I'm doing is just making some base pages for where my photo is going to go. So really I'm just going to layer up a bunch of the pretty papers, and no really rhyme or reason. I'm just doing it in a way that I find aesthetically pleasing, and then I can come through later and just stick photos down. So I'm using some of that vintage book paper and then some of that pretty strawberry print. I really like that. And then this cute little tag is just going to tuck in that little space, and there we go. I did think about using this bag. I may still be able to get it in here at some point. I'm just not sure how I want to stick it down. So I'm going to put that aside for the moment. I'm going to stick down this pretty picture of an old castle. And then some of this floral. I really liked that pop of kind of dark reddish colour. Their wedding did have some of that colour as one of the accent colours, so I really like that. I can bring that in. Some of the sheet music. I'm just tearing off strips here. I really love the way that torn edges look on all my projects, so I'm definitely loving that element here. A lot of the wedding was outside, so I really wanted to use this pretty image of this mountain and forest. So I'm just trimming that down to size, and don't worry, I'm not going to throw out those other pieces. I'm going to use those on other pages in this little book, but I just wanted that kind of central mountain image. And then I am going to use one of these smaller doilies at the bottom here, so I'm just layering that there, and I will trim off the excess. also looking for some more paper just to cover up that kind of join there. So I do use some more of this torn sheet music. Just sideways across there. Just covers up that little join nicely, and then I can just trim off the excess with my scissors. Then onto the next page. I'm going to pull out this washi. I really wanted to use it in another place. I really love these little couples. It's so pretty. So I've used a nice big strip of that, and then I noticed this blank musical staff with that perforated edge, which I really love. So I am going to stick that here with the edge hanging off the edge of the paper so that you can see that texture of the perforated edge. I love that. And that also gives me a little space to journal because there are lines, which is nice and handy. So I've also added a strip of that floral pattern, and then I'm going to add another, just a thin strip of this torn paper. I just really wanted some of that torn edge effect. And that's going to be the last page that I do in this video. So here is a quick flip through of all the pages I've completed so far. I really hope you enjoyed joining me for this video. I will leave a link to the turtle journal in the description box below if you would like to have a look. It's not an affiliate link or anything. I'm not sponsored, although I was sent this box as a gift. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!